Okay, so we've done statements. The next one to talk about is variables. So what is a variable? A variable is basically what you should think of in the simplistic terms is something like a box to store things in. So let's imagine you have in your room two boxes and you want to put 10 teddy bears into one box and 10 teddy bears into the other box. Well, each of those boxes would be a variable and they're each holding 10 teddy bears. So that's what a variable is. So I'm going to give a very simple example of a variable. So in Python, you have to pick a name for your variable. Now, there are certain rules about how you pick variables. The rule I'm going to give you now is a very simple way to do it just to help understand why you do things. So if we're going to put a number in the variable, a number in the box, we start the variable name with int, and int is short for integer, it just means a number. So int box a is equal to 0. So what we're basically saying here is variable name int box a is 0, so we're setting it to have a 0 value, and we're going to create an int box b equal to 0 too. So we've created two variables, box A and box B. The int is just basically so that we know that we should expect numbers. If you wanted to create a variable with a string in it, we go string, and we'll call it answer. Oh, I should learn how to spell answer. And because it's a string, we have to put the double quotes around it. So answer, your answer is. Okay, so back to statements. Remember, variables, all that's going to happen is the program is going to set this variable value to 0, this variable value to 0, and set this variable value to this. Now, if we want statements to do something with these, we can do the following. So print, like we learned before, print. We can print contents of box A, print the content of box B, and print the content of string answer. So print statements and each of the variable names, and we run it and we get 0 0 and your answer is, because it's printed out the values in each of the variables. Now let us go and do something else. So another statement is the ability to do things with these variables, and a very simple one is to say int box A is equal to statement 3. So what this basically saying is assign the value of 3 into box A, and we go int box B equals to 5, and we go print. Actually, I'll show you before we change it, because to show you the order of things happening. Print int box A and print int box A. So what we're going to do is we setting the value of the variable here, this box, to 0. We're going to print it, so we should see 0 here. Then we're setting it to 3, and then we print it again, so we should see it set to 3 after this. So let's go and run this one, and there we go, 0 and 3. So let's do something more interesting. So after this point, let's go and add the numbers in each box together. So we will create a new variable name, because we're going to use a new variable to hold it, int total. I always use a capitals after the int or the str just so it's easier to read. And we're going to say the total is 0. So we're going to say another statement, int total. So now we want to take box A and we want to add it to the number in box B. So add box A and box B. So what this statement does is it adds box A and box B together and takes that total value and puts it into int. And then we're going to see that by using the print. Okay, so let us run this and we should get an answer of 8. So 0 here, because it's set to 0. Then when we change it to the value of 3, this print shows the 3. And then when we add the two together and print the total, we get the 8 down the bottom. So let's go and do one final one, and this is where you want to print this answer here plus the total. So I'm going to show you, and this should error if I do this right. Oops. Print answer. Now this won't error this time, but it will error in the next one I'll show you. And you can add comments which allow you to write things in which the program ignores. So test program, so anything that starts with a hash will be ignored. So I can put a hash here and it will ignore this line, and ignore this line, ignore this line, and now it should just print these two lines at the bottom. So when we run it, your answer is 8. So it's printing this, your answer is, and then printing underneath 8. Now notice how they're each on a separate line. This is on one line and this is on another line. So let's say we want them to appear on both lines. Now, this plus, it's a bit weird in Python, right? When you want to add two numbers, you use the plus, which makes sense. But in Python, if you want to print and you want to stick two strings together, you can use the plus. Now if you do this, this should throw an error. Yes, and the reason it throws an error is that print is here, sees this as a string and sees this as a string value, so doesn't like this, that this is a number. So the way around this is as follows. You use a feature in print called formatting. You can, or casting, better term actually. So you want to cast this int value to a string. So this is now a string. This says join two strings, and this is going to take this int value of 8 and convert it to a string. And if I run it, your answer is 8 and it appears on one line. So that's basically an introduction to variables.